to A Drink and a Natter. I'm your host, Jackie, aka the Juicy Chef. And once again, I'm joined by two of my close friend circle because they are fabulous and I want the world to know my friends. They are doing amazing, amazing things. So first, let me introduce to my dear friend, Angelie Spencer of Angelie Spencer Home, a wonderful design house. So for anybody out there like myself who needs some freshness in their interior, some beauty and charm, Angelie is the go-to person. She's also started an amazing initiative called Shop Local Jamaica in partnership with National Commercial Bank, and she's got these amazing group of artisans from around the island. So please do check that out. And my dear friend Colin Hylton, impresario of lifestyle and all that is classy in food and just all round bon vivant. And you know, I feel so honored to be graced by their presence today. They are two of Jamaica's big personalities for right reasons, and people need to show, no, I'm very pro positivity because I think, and this is what I wanted to talk to you guys about. So there's a little shift in the Nyam and Traw conversation today. There are so many one-dimensional stereotypes about who we are as a people. Jamaica, like anywhere else, and the Caribbean, is multifaceted, you know, but this, you know, tired trope of ganja and guns and ghetto, and I have nothing against marijuana, by the way, just full disclaimer, medicinal, good for the pain relief, hello.
That's right.
But anyway, but you know, it's always kind of tired, you know, when you go abroad and people approach you with these stereotypes, and there's so much to us, so much more, and I think the two of you are the best to discuss this, you know, and like myself, you guys are nomadic, you're big foodies, and I just thought it'd be a nice conversation to show another side of our islands, another side of our culture, that Caribbean sophisticated lifestyle that I want to promote through Nyam and Traw, and I think you two are the best spokespeople for this. And Angelie, I'm going to start with you first. For example, with some of our young women and how they dress. I'm no fashionista by no means. Everybody knows me, jeans and a t-shirt and the flip-flops because I'm in the kitchen. But when I do go out, I want to look elegant and nice and everything. And I'm finding a lot of our young ladies today have almost let go of themselves when they go out. Just some little things that could make or break somebody's image. And I love how you've mentored young women and how to dress properly. And again, this is not a class thing or elitist thing or snobbish thing, but it's just some basic etiquette that has been lost. And I think it's wonderful how you've broken it down for them, simplicity in the language, so you have all these little girls and young women gravitate towards you, and I think it's fabulous.
Well, thank you. First of all, Jackie, it's such an honor to be here. I'm so pleased that you would include me in this
Of
conversation.
course.
And you know I love you, so
Yes.
thank you so
Me
much.
too.
And I mean, with all these glowing compliments, I'm like, are you talking about me?
Yeah.
But yeah, so anyhow, yes, I have a struggle. It's interesting. With age comes wisdom, I guess. But you don't always see that. So you see a lot of older women not being wise.
Yeah.
And I think that's a lot of the issue. Still, it's not lost on me, the burden that I bear as a former beauty queen, for one, and also as a mother to a daughter, a teenage daughter, and just as an all-round role model, and I put that in quotations because
No, but you are.
Yes,
I'll take off those quotations.
And I actually take it very seriously, and it's interesting. I mean, they did Miss Jamaica Universe. That's 20. This year will be 27 years
What?
since. It's a long time. It was
goodness.
1994.
Wow.
And it still shapes my life. It still influences who I am. Like, I cannot get lost in anything too often because it always comes back to the fact that I was a Miss Jamaica. I am a Miss Jamaica Universe, and it comes with that the burden of that responsibility. But I do have to say though that I was Miss Jamaica because of who I am, as much as I am who I am because I was Miss Jamaica.
I understand. Yeah.
So I treat my life and the approach is that way. And I think what happens is it's parenting for one. We've lost a bit of it. A lot of people aren't ready for parenting, and a lot of us aren't ready for the burden of the responsibility of being a role model and an example. because a lot of adult women themselves are insecure and lost.
It's true.
And so if you are insecure and lost, how can you then raise a confident, focused child? Exactly. So that's why it's important for us to be positive role models to them, and to show them that you can be smart, you can be in a beauty pageant and not just be a ditzy girl. You can be sexy and sultry and appealing without showing off your body all the time. You can be all of these things, because I think I am somehow sexy. There's some sort of sensuality and sexuality to me, but it's not that it's tits and ass. Exactly, it's not the over precisely. And it's getting people to understand that. And it's so what happens is a lot of it is the examples that are around us. And so when, like a Kim Kardashian, for example, became an example of the beauty ideal, that's what and then with social media, where everybody feels validated by the number of followers they have, and the amount of likes they get, and the whole dopamine release that you get when you see the responses to your posts, and everybody knows the more skin you show, the more likes you get. And so that's what I find is happening. And I don't want to sound like a hypocrite, because last year in particular I did a photo shoot with a group of women where it was a nude of sorts shoot, but it wasn't in the way I did it for me. I did it for personally, because I realized I've started to age, and I wanted to just capture myself in the youngest I'll ever be in that moment. Challenge myself to get fit and to feel like I did like I do in my mind, and to let that translate to my body. And I did it, and we did it as a group. And it's interesting, we never planned to share it. But once I saw the images, I thought, these are so beautiful. And we decided to share it, and it was amazing how much it influenced and impacted other women to sort of.
And I'm glad you've addressed that beauty at every age.
Exactly.
Beauty is always usually confined to youth.
But
I see some women in their 60s, 70s, who are absolutely gorgeous. I'm loving how the fashion world is now including older models. And then speaking of, we talk about body positivity, because I've had my struggles. People will see me, I'm currently through a fluffy, chubbier stage than normal because I was on medication. People assume, oh, she's eating all that good food, she's JuicyChef, blah, blah, blah. But, so I never comment on somebody's weight gain or weight loss, because I don't know if they, like myself, had a medical issue that fluctuates their weight. And then, again, about our attitudes towards food. Now, Colin, I want to bring you into this too, because, you're in the kitchen for hours creating this beautiful meal, and then somebody comes to your table, oh, I don't eat this, or how many calories are that? No longer eating for pleasure. It's almost like food has become the enemy, and nobody wants to eat your food anymore. Everybody's this or that. A pet peeve of mine, people talk about this, the gluten thing. Unless you suffer from celiac, I mean, you can eat gluten, there's nothing wrong, but because things have been demonized, or they're fashionable for this moment or that moment, and so you're finding people starving themselves to be skinny because they think that's beautiful.
That's the only beautiful
beauty comes in all shapes and sizes. What you may see as a blemish, like a beauty mark or a birthmark, that could be beautiful as well.
Freckles.
Freckles. Nobody has to look cookie cutter and the same.
Perfect.
And so how do you feel about when you do your catering for people, they come with all of these demands, which, it's one thing if it's from a health perspective and a genuine, but when it's for a vanity or kind of, and what they're saying to you is absolute rubbish, how do you diplomatically say to them, no, you can eat
it's
this?
Rubbish.
Yeah, it's rubbish, but without.
Well, the thing is, that will be the last time I'll be working for that person. I find I don't need to justify what I'm doing. I don't like to jump through hoops. As you say, a lot of these trends are just trends. People do not have celiac disease, but they're not talking about, oh, I'm gluten-free, this, I'm that, and that, and that. So it is not from an honest perspective. And if it is, maybe I'll work with you. But I mean, I find I don't like jumping through hoops for anybody. Call it a bit of arrogance, because you need to pay the bills. But at the same time, it has got to be two ways. You come to me halfway and I'll meet you halfway.
Yeah, because I've heard a lot of chefs, and it's been written about in different food publications who, for example, allergies. Both of us, I think you have a shellfish allergy too,
allergy.
Me too. But some restaurants now, they say that some people lie to say they have allergies, and they don't have any allergies, but and it creates a problem in the kitchen. So have the courtesy, for example, tell them beforehand. Don't wait till the last minute. For example, say, oh, I don't eat this and don't eat that, especially if it's a special menu or something. That kind of courtesy is lost. Going back to etiquette.
Chefs are magicians, and you can't pull a rabbit out of your hat.
Right.
So if you have a concern and a valid concern, mention it way in advance.
Right.
So it can be considered, and we can look to please you.
Definitely. And again, it goes back to etiquette and manners, something we were talking about, that sometimes there's like a vulgarity that almost permeates society. And this is not just here, it's like global, everywhere, like basic courtesies towards people. How do we bring back those old-fashioned values? I think COVID has humbled a lot of people.
Yes,
a lot of people have come off their high horses and they've like down to earth. And because this is how the world, as a previous guest said, is a village, and all of us, regardless of class, race, religion, we're all in the same.
Yeah, man, it's a great equalizer.
Right. Yeah. And we speak about pivots, is the buzzword, or shifting, changing. What would you guys like to see in the design space, the food space, going forward? What kind of things would you like to see come about from this? What sorts, the lessons we have learned, and how we can apply them to the future in your field?
I think it's just truthfully, it's interesting. We are not just the world. People follow trends too much. So in Jamaica, we call follow fashion. Nobody wants to do anything unless everybody else is doing it. I know for me personally, I'm the exact opposite. If it's everybody else is doing it, I have no interest in doing it. Yes. And so, and I think that is probably one of the things that makes me stand out from others, is that I do not follow fashion at all.
Exactly.
And so, and I'm not saying that I'm a trendsetter or anything to that effect, but I do, like, why would you want to be doing everything that everybody else is doing? And so it's interesting. I just did a feature where they spoke about trends. Trends are a guideline, just so that you can get things sold, essentially. Trends it's not a hard and fast rule. So I was seeing that new trend in interiors is going right back to traditional furnishings. What happened, why years ago everybody decided they're going to throw away these beautifully crafted, manufactured, handmade, natural materials that were used to make furniture. I can understand, because you're modernizing and that kind of thing, and so we shifted from natural pieces to, as my father used to say, mass-produced, press-board furniture.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Disposable furniture.
Disposable furniture.
Exactly.
Everything is disposable for us nowadays. So we've actually gone back to that trend now of wanting to include the pieces that carry sentiment and value and strength and longevity, and that you can pass along. And I've been a huge advocate of it. It's interesting that from the time I decided to make the transition from fashion and food to fully concentrating on interiors, I just always thought my two loves is, one is to restore whatever the client had that was of value to them, that meant something to them, that could save the budget. Because if you can recycle the couch, then you can jazz up the kitchen and the bathroom, So wherever you can save, where you can splurge in something else. And then I also have a love of textures, and for me it was wallpapering, and I decided immediately go to the land of wallpapering, that's the UK. And so I just went to the UK and I got trained in wallpapering and upholstery. And it was for that reason, and I'm so thrilled to see that that's a trend that has come about. And it is probably because, one, COVID has shown us that we need to, one, save money, because a lot of people lost their jobs. People were actually home, and it's interesting how busy I have been. I have not stopped working throughout COVID, because I think people are just home now, sitting down and saying, okay, I never used to have to sit down for hours in this pop-down chair. So it's time to fix up the chair. And people are going to be working from home. And so everybody's now embracing the home and just fixing up the home. And it's so great to see us incorporating the pieces. I mean, I remember starting out, one of my first projects was a young couple who just got bits and pieces of furniture from every mother, father, grandmother. And it was just a hodgepodge of random pieces that we just coordinated into a cohesive space, just simply with fabric and
uniquely
paint.
Their own.
Exactly, and it was their own. It had stories. It was a grandma who just passed. It was, I'm all for that. And for me, when you spoke about the manners and just, I don't know why people think that because it's old-fashioned to have manners. It's an old-fashioned thing. Like, why do I have to use a knife and fork? And what's the importance of? And it's unfortunate because I mean we live in a society where we have to live with each other and we have to think about the fact that our attitudes, how that affects others, and it could be a part of why we're just not getting along. It's why we're so violent and aggressive, and you step on somebody's toe and you disrespect, you never say sorry, and it's just all of these that just attitudes. But for me,
it comes down to respect.
Yes.
And respect has got to go on both sides.
Yeah, definitely.
And if you respect yourself and respect the person who is impacting you in your life, I mean, we should be able to live harmoniously.
Yeah, but I don't know. When you mentioned that thing too, I wanted to ask you guys about even the allergies. Is it in a restaurant setting? Do you have to have like special pots? So if somebody is deathly allergic to seafood, for example, is it that sensitive area?
There's no designated rules or regulations.
But
the thing is, there's cross-contamination.
Right, okay, so that's where you have to,
And you try not to use the same tongue to pick up the shrimp and the
right.
lobster
And
that you got to do in the pasta.
It's fine.
But mistakes can happen even in the best run places. You can have a gaff.
Like
You pray it doesn't happen, but it can happen.
Yeah, definitely.
Never happened to me.
You're detail-oriented and very thorough. And the food scene, let's talk about the food scene in Jamaica. I'm, for one, I'm very excited because when I moved here just over a decade ago, things were not the way they are now in terms of variety. You're one of our foundation restaurateurs in the country, and you must be thrilled now to see the diversity, but then service still
finally.
is...
Finally.
But we still, I think some places need to work on the service a bit more. Still, it's getting better.
Because to me, if I'm going out, it needs to be an experience.
Definitely.
And from you push the door, I would tell my staff, even if you're having a bad day, we don't want to hear about it.
Right.
When the day is done, we can deal with that.
Right.
Because for the person that's coming out, they're coming for an experience.
Exactly.
So from your greeted at the door to you're seated to the orders taken, it needs to be seamless. And that also goes right through to the kitchen.
Right.
Where it is done efficiently and beautifully. Because you want to also dine beautifully.
And I'm glad because you set the trends with using natural elements on plated in Jamaica.
Yes.
You definitely were the one to start that.
I think it was a bit ahead of my time.
You definitely
But
were
now
because
that people have
everybody's
caught
caught
up.
up.
Yes.
Exactly.
Because I used to say, like you said, the experience. I used to go out and I'm like, oh my God, could they just put a little garnish on this or pretty it up a little bit,
Yeah.
But I'm happy now to see that that's changed because again, Caribbean food is damn delicious.
It is.
But our presentation was letting us down.
Well, there's some
Now
young
we've
chefs
caught
now
up.
that are really pushing the envelope.
Yes.
Alex
Absolutely.
Alex
I
the
love
Great
Alex.
is
Amazing.
incredible.
Yeah, I love Alex.
And there's
yeah.
another chef called
Amazing.
Garfield
Junior.
Jr.
Yes.
in Montego Bay. I mean, when I see what he's doing, I'm
Yeah.
saying
I
something.
need to follow him.
Yeah, he's
Garfield's
incredible.
Right, yeah, he's really
Okay,
good. Yeah, definitely, I like him.
And
you
he's,
know what's
and he's melding different cultures with the food. So you can see that he's a thinking
Nice
chef.
fusion.
Right.
So I would say to all young chefs, you all go to the same school, you learn the same thing. You don't need to
sets
do
you apart?
something to set you apart from your
Yeah.
peers.
Peers, yeah.
If it means then you take something from one recipe and another recipe and just
Do an infusion.
and just
Right.
meld it, that's where you're going to
Yeah.
set yourself as. Because your personality comes out in your food.
And
There's that movie like Water for
Chocolates, yes. that's
where
a
whatever the
classic.
person was feeling,
it came out into food.
came out into the food.
And I'm happy
And
you
it's
say
true.
that. It's true because if I'm in a bad mood, I'm not
Can't
cooking for
cook,
anybody.
yes.
I'm not doing it because my
Because
love.
you're like, damn.
Yeah,
Yes,
because my mom
yes.
always said the most important ingredient is love.
Love.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's I still hear her voice sometimes when I'm cooking, like Jackie,
No,
or change that. I still
Yeah.
hear her, So I know
And
she's
it's like
guiding
when
me.
with clients, I've
Yeah.
had meetings with clients and I say, something, Colin, it is not worth it.
Yeah.
Yes, the money is good, but tell this person
At the end
Yeah.
of the
at
day,
the end of the day,
Yeah.
find
Yes.
somebody else.
I've
But you don't
seen-
tell them
No,
exactly
you
in those
can't. You have to
words.
be diplomatic.
You find a way to then
Right,
excuse
to
yourself
self,
from the job.
right.
I'm actually learning that now.
Exactly.
You have to.
You
You
can't
protect
take
your
you
peace.
can't take
Yes,
everything.
yes,
And
yes,
space.
You're
Yeah,
quite right.
yeah.
Yeah.
So, okay,
it's
what's your-
contradictory to your.
Who you are.
And it's not gonna work out well for either you nor the person.
Exactly.
Because everything could be perfect, they're gonna find a fault.
something.
Okay, yeah. So, okay, so we're going to switch it up to trodding now. So, it's Nyam and it's trod. Both of you are nomadic. Colin, you've been to, I can't even count how many countries you've been to as well. But what are some of your favorite food experiences abroad?
for me, growing up, I always wanted what I didn't have. So I was interested in seeing anything that's in the Caribbean.
Right.
It's in my backyard. And as a kid, Japan held Alan lore for me. So they're a culture that is thousands of years old. They revere the old, and their attention to detail. They're almost as a word,
It's precise. There's a
Persnickety. Exactly.
Oh my God, I've not heard that. So I need to go back to some grammar
I
lessons.
remember going to Japan for the first time about 25 years ago. I mean, I was blown away. And to see that you have more 3-star Michelin restaurants in Tokyo than you have in Paris.
Right, definitely.
And when I had passed the shops for desserts, I thought I was in a jewelry store. I said, these cannot be real.
It's true, because when I was at the Cordon Bleu, the Japanese
the techniques are just out of this world.
Yeah, they put us to
It's
shame.
precision and discipline. That the society overall has that. I haven't visited Japan yet. I'm dying to go.
You have
It's my
to.
bucket
Timothy and
list,
Luke went a
You
few
have
years
to.
ago, and we were supposed to go last year.
Right.
So
Yeah,
the
but
whole family
the
were,
big-
but obviously
I
that
think I've been
didn't
about
happen.
6 times.
Yeah,
And then
so-
to Kuala Lumpur in Malaysia was
Oh, yeah,
also
Malaysia's
was
big food
awesome.
city,
The thing with France, when I'm finished eating, I'm wondering, where's the flavor?
Exactly.
There's
that was the same.
yeah.
Great
It was just
technique
not
Yeah,
as
the
and
technique.
different
incredible
as
ingredients, but
Yeah.
at the end, it's
The
not
flavor,
exciting.
Yeah,
absolutely.
no, it's not.
Yeah.
It's not,
I remember the first time in Kuala Lumpur and just eating street food.
Yeah, man.
I was with a good friend. I think I traveled on his body pass
Yeah.
with Audley. And I said, Audley, that's a roach.
Yeah.
It was some kind of bug that looked like a roach.
Right.
And I said, something, give it a try.
Yeah.
And I did, and I had about 6.
Yeah,
Oh my
yeah.
God.
Yeah, ants
That
taste
was
like
the-
popcorn.
Exactly.
Yeah, and I
And-
think just try it once.
Just try it, yeah.
One time
Why
before
not?
you yeah.
I've
I think
always
the
said
best
it-
sushi in my life was in Rio.
Okay.
But I think
Really?
you have more Japanese in Brazil
And Peru as well.
as any other place apart from Japan.
Right.
Okay.
And they've taken they've taken the technique of sushi to another level
Right.
because
So it's
they're utilizing
exactly.
their
Right.
products.
Precisely.
So that was
Yeah.
incredible.
Precisely,
And for you, Angelie, where have you been? Or even if not food, just in
Just the
terms of
travel
design,
experiences.
whereas you've been inspired the most by what is.
I had a wonderful time in Italy, so it was interesting. I was actually very relieved when I saw this. I love the fresh lemon flavor and stuff, and I had a very short stint. When I went away to do that, the courses, I decided I was there for weeks just doing work, so I wanted to treat myself. So I actually went to the Belmont for dinner. It was in Oxford, because I was staying, the upholstery was in Oxford. And I had to have that experience, and I treated myself to that, and it was absolutely, it was
Amazing.
quite, And for me, when I came back, I remember saying, yes, the food was great, but I said Colin's food is better. I've
Yes.
had better flavored food. But for me, it was the precision of the service and the staff and just all the other elements that made
They
it an
made it,
experience.
yes, exactly.
And then when I went to Switzerland as just an escape afterwards, it was that other chef. It was I can't remember the name of that restaurant. Jeez. But that was also a really beautiful experience, and I remember thinking this. I wanted to. That's what I wanted to incorporate in my travel now, making a full experience, the
right,
arts
exactly.
and the sights and the food and the fashion.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Because we all love the
Yes.
fine china, the
Yes,
fine
yes,
china and the
yeah,
crystal,
yeah.
but at the end of the day,
Yes.
you need to excite me with the food.
Yes.
We have a story where we had
France.
gone to a sit-down event, and we went to my house afterwards,
Remember?
and we had
Yes,
champagne and pan
the
chicken.
chicken, yes.
Because after the 7 courses, Angie, we're like, what the hell just
No,
happened?
I would never forget that. We were like, no
What
way.
was
I said, guys,
It was
come to my house.
expensive, and we're like, no, okay,
Yeah.
pan chicken run. And that's, it's a reoccurring theme in these episodes now with my guests. All of us are well traveled, but there's something to be said about the
Absolutely.
flavoring of our food.
That's the
Jamaicans
thing.
talk, they have to rub it in the season. The season has to
Rub it
soak.
down.
Yeah, man.
That is true, like flavor to the bone.
Yeah, man, no, you can sprinkle the salt and pepper at the end.
Exactly. Yeah, that's the
No,
base,
It
you
is
know, or to
24
round it
24
off.
hours to marinate.
Exactly. Like a Trinity chef friend of mine, Bridget Joseph, she's like, our food really and truly is soul food.
It
And
is.
it is. It touches your soul.
And the good thing is now
Problem
they
is
share
that
it with 100
for
people.
a bad experience, you
So you have
tell
to train.
11 persons,
Exactly.
and for a good you tell 2.
Two, that's what
Oh.
it, that's how much
It's
it is.
it's
It's a fact.
it's in our
Yeah.
human nature to want to
Yeah.
carry
It's a
bad
fact.
news.
Every
Yeah.
time you
Yeah.
hear the name Ash, if you had a good experience, you say, okay, that's great. And in passing, it's, people come to your house and they're like, okay, yeah, man, Angelie did it and it was great. But if it was a bad experience, every single
The
time
lamp-
you see
the lamp
or
is
hear me, or even without it, that's
Yeah.
what they share. So we need to invest
It's
more.
built into our
in
DNA.
service.
We can't help ourselves. We
Right.
love to be the harbingers of bad
Bad
news.
news, yeah.
And so I find it service, but I find that competitiveness is making everybody just actually pull up their socks and just do the best. And I find the people who are investing in most in their training and their service and their time are the ones that are reaping the.
But you know, back to that
The
service thing, I
service,
remember
yeah.
years ago in the restaurant, I was outside with friends, just having a drink. And there was a young man, a famous young man in Jamaica, came in with 3 lovely women. And he's clearly showboating. The order came in, and I heard, because you're always on the job,
Yes.
and I heard what was ordered. The things came, and the right things came to the table. And that man went on so badly with the waitress. I had to step in.
I don't like when people are bad.
and I
mean
say,
to
no,
wait
something,
staff.
sir, consider the first round on the house. You're not
Yeah.
going to be served here again.
Yeah. Ooh.
Ask him to
Ouch.
leave.
But you had to, yeah.
And he called me every name in the book. I said, well, now that you're done, you
Yes.
still have to leave.
Right.
He tried about months later to come back, and we recognize him.
I said, no.
You're banned from dining here.
Right.
You have to take a stand.
Yeah.
And sometimes the clients are the ones that really push the staff to the limit.
And I'm glad you
Yes,
said that.
absolutely.
Is the customer always
No.
right?
No.
No.
I love
And
it.
sometimes
Yeah.
you tell them,
Yeah.
listen,
Yeah.
find another place to pitch, not inside here.
Yeah, because recently, I can't remember if it was Eater or Grub Street, one of the big food press, they had this big article about that, because they say since COVID too, you have, because the home delivery service and whatever, and then they reopened, you know, people have reopened slowly but limited. They said some of the diners towards wait staff are absolutely brutal. It's been a huge pet peeve of mine growing up in hospitality.
Yeah.
You know, if you don't, you have to protect your staff, and if you, these are people are serving you with grace and dignity. You know, share some love with them.
Yeah.
You know, don't be mean to them. They're doing their jobs. If there is something you don't like, there are ways and means to say I don't like this or that without being insulting or
But the
offensive.
only time you can behave badly if you plan never to go back, because I tell people they'll fix you in the kitchen.
Right. I can imagine. Yeah.
That's always my
Exactly.
Yeah, yeah.
If you have a,
love it,
if
I
you
just
have a
smile and
problem,
nod. Yes.
be courteous and say,
Yes,
listen,
yes.
here's what and what and
Always-
what didn't go
Right.
right. But once you start to carry on,
Yeah.
Criticism
You know?
is best served constructively.
Constructive,
Exactly,
yes.
that fits
And
you.
hospitality is taking a beating around the world
Oh, absolutely.
right now. And do you think there's going to be a new way of okay, yes, we're going to go quote unquote go back to normal-ish, but I know for me, for example, since the pandemic, I haven't been out to eat. I've been ordering in, but I haven't gone out to sit down and eat, because I do feel a bit wary.
I think I've been bad. I've gone
Yeah,
out.
yeah. No, I'm dying to go out now. I'm going absolutely bonkers,
Right.
staying inside. But again, going back to experiences, because some people have told me that it just doesn't feel the same, and they'd rather eat at home. I've been making cocktails once a week to get a vibe. And going back to experience, what you're saying, sometimes I find that, well, you know what? I rather cook at home, you know, I enjoy my food at home more than going out. Or sometimes I feel like, do you feel some people have, I know I never cry down somebody's price if it's, I know I'm getting quality, but there are some people I find that overcharge for inferiority,
They're
and
go-
that's my
they're
pet
go- they're
peeve.
gouging.
I won't, yeah, with you, like I would, you name your price, I'm not going to fight you for your price,
I'm not
because
the
I
cheap,
know
I'm not the cheapest in the world.
no,
but,
you're not
but
the
I
cheapest,
do
but the
believe that I
quality of
give
product,
you
right?
value for
Because
your
you don't
money.
give us cheap food either.
No.
You get the best of everything, so I know what I'm paying for.
Exactly.
But there's some people here, I think that they push out business because they oversell, or there's hype. Social media is another thing for me. Let's go get design or food. So much social media hype, but then when you see the real thing or experience, it's nothing like what
Or,
you
or
saw
this dish
online.
looks amazing
yeah.
in the post, and then when you eat it, you went,
It's
okay.
like, yeah,
no,
exactly.
Something is missing
Yeah,
here for sure.
and I think, how do we police that? It's hard to police because I'm so over the hype.
You police
of
with your
things.
dollars.
Yeah, that's
Exactly,
true.
Just don't support
That's
it.
true.
You give one
You don't
chance.
support it.
Yeah,
And at some
yeah.
point, the proprietor must say, wait, I don't see anybody coming to the restaurant anymore. Something is wrong.
Right.
But it must be difficult though for yourself, Jackie. I mean, you've never operated a restaurant, but you are a chef and a really good one. So I'm sure it's difficult for you anywhere in the world for you to go, for someone to please your palate.
I'm actually quite easy to please. I tell people that for me, something is well seasoned, well presented, I'm okay, and it comes from love. And ambiance is a big part of that too. The problem I have is just what I just spoke about.
Right, so you
the
will go for the experience.
the overhyped places and it's like anticlimactic. That's what I have a problem with. And I prefer word of mouth. So I'm old fashioned in that.
Yes.
You know, I rather, instead of calling saying, oh, my food is the best, I rather other people tell me his food is the best. You know, like even with my food, when people ask me, Jackie, what's your food like? So I ask my friends who've had my food, I can't tell you, but they seem to like it, but ask them. You know, because I'm not perfect by any means, and I'm more food media. Because remember, diplomacy is my background. Not food is a second career. But it is. But love is the ingredients.
As you say, you put money in, you support with me too. I subscribe to it.
I find I judge based on where I'm at, and I adjust my expectations. Because when I find an establishment, then come to me with everything.
Exactly.
If I'm at the corner shop, I expect a different thing. So I judge based on where I am.
But some of those corner shops and hole in the walls have been my best food experiences. Street food more than the Michelin stars that I've been to.
As I said, in Malaysia, the street food was incredible.
Right.
The restaurant scene was also incredible, but the street food
is amazing.
Knocked me off my socks.
Yeah. So on that note, guys, thank you for joining me on A Drink and a Natter. I've learned a lot from you. I hope our audience have learned a lot from you. So again, guys, brilliant food experience. Go to Colin, right? Their details will be in the captions and everything, where to find them. For design, well, Angelie, I showed her a couple of rooms in my house that she's going to do over for me. Because again, I like to support local talent. I like to support my friends. And I think if we all supported one or two friends of ours and all build each other up and we all rise together. So many people pay lip service. Oh, I'm going to support you, and then they never show up and never support you. But you know what I mean?
Every time they see you, they're like embarrassingly, oh, I need to call you.
And here they have
you don't have
functions.
to
They say,
call.
oh, but he was in that chef.
Yeah, but it's fine. You heard her a while ago. She said, you know, I will work with your budget. You know, I'm saving up now too. I'm a freelancer. I don't have a champagne budget right now. It's okay, but she will work with your Coca-Cola budget. If you tell Colin I have X, he will prepare you something lovely for X, you know.
Or then
but
do one room instead of doing the whole house.
Exactly. So again, manage expectations and do it accordingly. But let's spread some love and community and support our local talent. So I'll see you next time on a Nyamanatron with some wonderful guests from my inner friend circle. See you next time. Bye.
Dan, I run you.
So you know when my mates come over, I have to fix them a drink.